Before we get into your video, I just want to do a quick disclaimer. This is not financial advice. This is not medical advice. This is not advice on how to live your life. These are my opinions. All right? Take them all with a grain of salt. Enough of the interruption, and let's get on to your video. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to Taylor Talks. I'm Christian Taylor. I'll be your host for today's episode. Today's going to be a cool one. Today we're talking about, are we seeing life through a filter? And when I say that, I mean like a camera filter on your phone. Well, I would argue that we're actually seeing life through multiple filters at once. We actually got filters on filters stacked on top of each other. These filters, what they do is they pretty much, over time, after we have enough filters over our seeing of the world clearly, it starts to look very, very different than what's actually out there. It's all about what you believe. It's all about what you think is real. It's kind of like we're in our own bubble. We're in our own matrix. Our filters that we have in front of what we really see is kind of making our own metaverse, if you will. And I'm sure you ask, like, where did the filters come from? Hey man, I don't see any filters. What are you talking about? And those are both good statements, and I want to kind of break down both of those individually. As far as where do the filters come from? Well, the filters, they really come from our perception of reality. So basically our belief structure. And you know what they say, seeing is believing. But in my opinion, I believe it's believing is seeing. What you believe about the world around you, people, places, things, the environment, where you grew up, your job, what you believe about these things literally reflects in what you see. Basically, what you see on a day-to-day basis is going to be a result of what you believe, right? So if you see hardship, you see desperation, you see poverty, that's what you believe. And so if you believe in prosperity, abundance, happiness, health, and wealth, that's what you're going to see. Now, believing in something and using positive thinking are two different things. So really what it comes down to see the world differently, you really are going to have to address your belief structure. And your belief structure, it's not day to day. You don't necessarily just pick it day to day. You can, but you really have to address what you chose about reality in the past. You really have to address basically that you're a powerful being and you could change what you could see. You're the architect of your own matrix. So for you to change what you're seeing in your life and change what's occurring for you and how you're seeing it, you're going to have to go back to those foundations, right? And you're going to have to change those foundations so you have changed the structure of your matrix, right? And now you can change how you're seeing the world. I recall for myself, I had a particularly intense day where I was really, really going through and writing down a lot of my childhood memories and really, really trying to look at those through a different lens, through a lens of being more compassionate, more forgiving, and just changing my opinions about my life and how things happened, right? Can't change what happened, but you can change your point of view. And when you change your point of view, well, you actually change your perception. And literally what you see becomes different. I remember at the end of this day, and it was a long day. It was hours and hours and hours. We started really early in the morning. I remember at the end of this day, when I was driving back to go to my apartment, well, I lived in that apartment for a couple of years. I had been in that particular area of town, this was in South Florida, for a few years. I really knew the area very, very well. Man, when I left from that session, I didn't recognize anything. The trees looked different. The sky looked different. The colors looked more vibrant. It took me like an hour to get home, and I was like 3 miles away from where I was at. So, you really can change what you're seeing and how you're seeing things. I'm going to give a for instance. All right. So, say you see all men as dogs, right? And you're probably right, because what's occurring for you is you're getting a lot of dudes that aren't so good, that are dogs. What I suggest is you address the very first time you ever said that. You address the specific men that you have those feelings about and where it started. And if you can convince yourself to let that go and say, hey, maybe they're not all dogs. Maybe I just had a bad few and there are good ones out there. Well, if you can really address it and really convince yourself that there are new opportunities out there for you, well, you're going to get new opportunities. And obviously this is going to work on everything. If you're walking around and saying there are no good jobs out there, there's no good jobs. Well, do you think you're going to see a good job? You aren't. I guarantee you the person who's walking around saying, oh man, there's just opportunity everywhere. Well, they're going to see opportunity everywhere. So addressing your filter is super, super important. And walking around acting like your filters aren't there because you can't directly see them, well, that's a problem because they are there. I could give you a story. This is, I don't know if this is true or not, but this is a story I heard, and it was pretty interesting to me. It was about the natives that were in the islands where Columbus first landed. The story, how I heard it, is the shaman, he was looking off the cliff into the water, and he saw these weird waves splashing out, like they were splashing off of something. He couldn't see the thing that was there, but he saw these weird waves. And being a shaman, a person who's probably got an open mind and more open-minded than most in the area, a person who dives into different realms of thought, he kept looking at that spot, and then all of a sudden he could see a ship, the Corsair ship. Now, they had no reference for a Corsair ship, so literally the story goes that they couldn't see it. It took the shaman staring before he could see it. And then once the shaman went back to the tribe, and he's the trusted advisor in the tribe, he told them and described the ship to them, and then they were able to go out there and eventually see it. But at first, they couldn't even see the ship. Now, is that story true? I wasn't there. I don't know. I think it might be true. It makes sense. It definitely makes sense. I know in art, I've been in art for years. I've been an artist for years. I've definitely seen people who say they don't look at much art. It's not something that they spend their time doing. And they'll see an image and they will not be able to tell you what it is. They'll be like, I can't see what it is. What is it? And to somebody who looks at art, they look at it and they can clearly see, like, oh, that's a person's face. There's a flower. And I don't know how many times I've seen that go down where people couldn't see what the image was. And I'm like thinking it was glasses, and then I remind myself, I'm like, oh man, these people don't look at visual media very much, so like they're just not acclimated to seeing it. And usually when you explain to them what's there, it takes a few seconds, they blink a few times, and then they can see it. I've seen that happen quite a few times over my career. So it's definitely a thing. It's also a thing that, your eyes are only taking in shapes and shadows. Your eyes, they basically just see shapes and shadows. As far as the greater details of everything, well, your mind's making that. Your mind is filling in the gaps for you. So depending on what your mind believes and depending on what you believe is going to be what you see. My advice is you're not really going to be able to not have filters on life. That's just our experience is a filtered experience. That's why we use measuring devices for things. If it's going to be a matrix and it's going to be a filter and you're never going to see things how other people see things, my advice is make your filters ones that are awesome. Make it good, make it loving, make it awesome, make it have opportunity, make it good for the many. You know, you kind of get to choose your matrix. Address what you chose in the past before you knew you had the power to choose, and then make your matrix as you see fit. Yeah, so basically, your matrix is going to reflect the warmth in your heart and, you know, the peace of your mind. The more you can open your heart and the more you can make your mind peaceful, I think the more your matrix is going to be something that you find beautiful. It does work. It definitely does work. I used to be a guy who didn't see much good in the world, and now every day I walk outside and it's just like I'm amazed at the wonder and the beauty of it all. So you could definitely get there. It really has to do with addressing like how you see the world, how you see yourself, how you see others, how you see your friends, how you see your circumstances. That's really important. It's really important. You know, you're the one who's the architect of the filters you're wearing. Okay? You can wear the filter of a victim or you can wear the filter of a hero. It's up to you. Like I said, it's all going to reflect the warmth in your heart and the peace in your mind. So just, you know, that's my opinion. I'm not telling you what to do. Take it with a grain of salt. I really appreciate you guys coming by. Please be sure to like and share, comment as much as you can. If you don't agree with me, if you see it a different way, let us know. We want to know. Anything you guys can do to help the channel, that would be awesome. You know, we definitely still have the day job, and we'd love to do this full time. I really appreciate your support. Let me know if you make any progress. Let me know if you get a chance to see the world differently. And just one more thing. Remember, be the one. Peace.